everyone, it's Jordan again, and for today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about a sermon that I recently heard this past Sunday, and it just got me thinking a couple of things. It brought up a couple points. So this sermon was about Paul, and it was based in 2 Corinthians, which is where it talks about the thorn that was in Paul's flesh. And a couple of things just really stood out to me about how he brought this up and how he talked about this, the pastor. For one thing, Paul pleaded with God 3 times for him to remove this thorn in his flesh. And we don't know what this thorn is, but basically the thorn in his flesh is just kind of a way of saying it was something very difficult for him, something very painful. It wasn't just, a little inconvenience. It was something that really got to him and that really made it difficult or very painful for him to go about his daily business. And we don't have any idea what that thorn actually was, but we just know that it was something that was really hard for him. Not just a little something, but something that was really hard for him to overlook and hard for him to get past on a daily basis. And Paul pleaded with God 3 separate times for him to remove it. Now, I don't know about you, but I've pleaded with God way more than that for things like that. I'm pretty sure I've done it like 3,000 times, but Paul did it only 3 times. And this pastor made the connection, and we don't know if this is the reasoning behind why Paul did it only 3 times or not, but made the connection that was the same number of times that Jesus pleaded with God in the Garden of Gethsemane to let this cup pass from him, because he knew that he was about to be crucified. So that was an interesting point that he made, was that both of those times, with Paul and with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, 3 times they pleaded to God for this thorn. You can imagine that was definitely a thorn in the flesh of Jesus as well when he was thinking about that. They both prayed 3 times for it to go away, and both of them got an answer. But the answer was no for both of them. I'm sure that's not the answer that either of them wanted to hear. Paul did not want to hear God say, "No, I'm not going to remove this." And none of us want that. None of us want God to respond to our prayers with a no. It's still an answer, but it sure isn't the answer that we were looking for, or the answer that we were hoping to get. But at the same time, we need to realize something. We need to realize that God did not leave Paul alone in that. God did not just say, "No, I'm sorry, I've heard you, but I'm not going to do that. So you know what? Best of luck to you. Do the best you can. Whatever, I'm here for you. Good luck." No, God did not say that at all. God said, "No, I'm not going to remove this from you." But God still said, what did he say in 2 Corinthians 12:9? It's one of my favorite verses. God said, "Guess what? I'm not going to remove this, and I know, I'm sorry, this is going to be hard. But my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness." God is saying here, I'm not going to take away the thing that's hurting you, because you can't see that I have a plan for it, but I have a plan for it. And one day you'll understand why I had to do that, but right now you can't. But here's the thing, I'm not going to make it easier. I'm not going to take that away, and I'm sorry about that. But at the same time, I can still use you. My grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in your weakness. Guess what? He didn't just ignore that. He didn't just pretend that it wasn't there. He said, I'm going to use that. That's going to be something that becomes a vessel for my power to be shown to the world through you. It's not a weakness. No. It's a weakness as the world sees it. It's a strength the way that I see it. Because my strength, where you're weakest, that's when my strength can be its strongest, through you. So he used not just Paul, but he even used that part of Paul's life, the part of Paul's life that he, I'm sure, was not happy about. He was not proud of. He didn't want to be a part of his life. But God still used it. And so that got me wondering, what's yours? What's the thorn in your flesh? We don't know Paul's. Paul never said his. One day when we get to heaven, we can ask him, what was that? But I'm just wondering, what's yours? I want you to think about whatever yours is, because we all have one. We live in a fallen world where there are plenty of thorns to go around, right? Everybody has something in their life that they wish that God would choose to fix, and maybe God has said no to you repeatedly when you've asked for that. But just think about what it is, and then hear God saying this to you. Guess what? In fill in the blank, in whatever that situation is for you, my grace is sufficient for you. Because in that, my power is made perfect. In your weakness, in that area that you're not proud of, that you don't like to show, my power is made perfect in that. And I think that's a really beautiful and really powerful thing that we can all really hold on to. I know that I can. Those difficult parts of your life that you don't understand why they're happening for a reason. And those weaknesses that you feel, God can use them as strengths, and God can completely overwhelm you with just how much strength He can put into you through those. And I hope that you hear God saying that to you today. With whatever it is that you're going through, with whatever thorn that's in your flesh, hear Him saying the same words that He said to Paul. Don't worry about it. No, I'm not going to make it all perfect right now. But my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in your weakness. I hope that encourages you today. God is good all the time.